Perception is not often one's reality, as deception could always become the most powerful tool used to control somebody, which is exactly what was used to control a young, unsuspecting Saiyan in Dragon Ball Infinity. As we last left off with Taima learning that the Pharaoh is a fraud and is only in need of this holy water, which is actually God water, to further keep himself in the position of power, the young Saiyan travels back to his home, where now he will seek out the king in his quest for the truth and answers. As once more, before we begin, if you are new to this channel and have a love and passion for all things Dragon Ball and anime related, then be sure to go on ahead and smash that subscribe button and turn on all notifications by clicking on the bell icon to never miss a single upload. And if you guys love and enjoy Dragon Ball and cannot wait to see more, then be sure to go on ahead and slap a big fat like down below by giving this video a big thumbs up, along with checking out the official Dragon Ball fan mangas playlist located down in the description box below, to where there you will be able to find all the latest and best Dragon Ball fan mangas created by the community for the community. So be sure to take a minute to go on ahead and check that playlist out located down below, as we kick off the Dragon Ball Infinite manga chapter number 3 special, with Taima finally having to go back and leaving the island in which he had found the water required from the Pharaoh, only to stumble upon Russo again, as it appears that Russo is being bullied by others for food and water, as one of the individuals goes on to tell him, "You fat ass, give us your food or else. It's not like you're going to starve anytime soon." I bet he wouldn't even make a bad meal himself, basically bullying this individual for food, water, and Taima sees this and he is not happy, as he goes on to cry out, "Hey! Leave him alone!" As one of the individuals quickly turns around, he goes on to ask Taima, "And what are you going to do about it?" But Taima smiles right in his face, and upon doing so, this only goes as far as to anger one of the raiders, as he quickly tries to swoop on in attacking, and just as quick as he jumps in to attack Taima, Taima quickly blocks off his punch, and with one single casual blow, manages to knock the individual back on his ass so far that it causes him to go flying out in the distance, with such force that it actually shakes the other raiders, including Russo as well. So Taima, not knowing his own strength, with one simple casual blow, knocks this individual out far into the desert. And as this happens, the other raiders go on to cry out, "What the? Let's get the hell out of here!" As they quickly leave the scene, Russo is very ecstatic as to what Taima had done, as he goes on to tell him, "Wow, thank you." But Taima seems to be concerned about something, staring into his hands. He goes on to comment, "You could have shared with them." But this only pisses off Russo, as Russo cries out, "I would have if they would have asked nicely. They were hostile from the beginning, and besides, I'd rather share with you. You better get back to the Pharaoh. You're running out of time before darkness comes. I'm staying here to wait for my dad." As Taima goes on to tell him, "Oh yeah, you're right. Well, I guess I'll be careful then, and thanks again." As at long last, Taima finally ends up back within the city, as one of the individuals goes on to ask him, "So, young one," in which he goes on to meet the Pharaoh. The Pharaoh goes on to tell Taima, "I see you were the only one to taste success. I assume you have my water?" As Taima says, "Yes, sir," the Pharaoh replies, "Very good. Now come, son. Come, let me show you what you've been doing with your life." Very condescendingly trying to trick Taima, but Taima knows exactly what the Pharaoh is up to. And as the Pharaoh winds up taking Taima somewhere very high up in the sky, he goes on to tell him, "You've been helping build these pyramids, but do you know what they do?" As Taima and the Pharaoh look down, there are literally dozens of pyramids on the ground. As Taima goes on to point out, he goes on to tell the Pharaoh, "They power the city?" As the Pharaoh responds, "Very good. But how? Allow me to explain. The sun is a great source of power. Each pyramid absorbs solar power. The gold cap at the top of the pyramid absorbs and concentrates the power into batteries, which we use to power the city. Because our planet is a barren wasteland, we have developed a way to grow food and herbs using aquaponics, a form of growing things using only water." As Taima overhears this, he goes on to tell the Pharaoh, I have a question. As Taima then goes on to ask, "Are you really scared of water?" As the Pharaoh so condescendingly laughs, he proceeds to tell Taima, "I had a bad experience thousands of years ago with a large body of water, so I avoid it, yes. During these 7 days of darkness that are upon us, we can't use solar power to create these batteries, and this city requires a lot of power. But luckily, your mighty god Noob is here to protect you and provide power. My throne is no throne. It is a godly device that allows me to focus my energy into power for the city. But because of this, during those 7 days, I am bound to my throne. Outside of the palace, when darkness spreads throughout the desert, jackals spread along with it. It is why the city is the only safe haven during these 7 days of darkness. And so, during these 7 days, as rewarded for your service, my palace is yours. Eat and drink your fill. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm off to my throne. Darkness is upon us." As he quickly turns around, he notices how Taima is being treated like a literal god. So during these next 7 days, we notice how Taima is literally being treated like a king. He's being washed, he's being fed by the very best, given the best kind of food, given the best kind of accessories that anyone can have. But even then, while he's being treated, we notice how he's slowly beginning to wear something very eerily similar to what Beerus and Champa wear in Dragon Ball Super, the design and robe of a god of destruction. And as Taima is being sung to, having a good time, he immediately thinks of his mom. As he does so, he steps out of the palace and finds his mother. And as he does so, he goes on to approach her and asking, "Mama, are you okay?" But then quickly notices something very off with his mom. As his mom goes on to tell him, which keep in mind, it's not his actual biological mother, it's the caretaker that brought him up ever since he was a baby, as she proceeds to tell him, "My sight has left me forever, child. I will never see again." And this shocks and breaks Taima, as he comes to the ultimate realization that his mother can no longer see. She has gone blind. As he begins to shed tears, he goes on to apologize by stating, I'm so sorry." As he goes on to hug her, she goes on to tell him, "It's okay, child. I have something I must tell you." As he goes on to ask, "What is it?" She proceeds to tell him, "The reason I have my place in this city is because Noob murdered my father. I have heard rumors that my father had just been banished to the desert the day I found you. I was looking for him. I've looked until finally the sun had taken my eyes." As Taima is completely shocked, she goes on to tell him, "My father was a proud warrior who questioned Noob's godhood. He used to lead an army of warriors to get the life water for Noob and protect the power of the city. My father trained himself and his soldiers to fight for Noob. But for the day he fell and we had to kill the jackals ourselves, my father was convinced that he, which is the Pharaoh, was no god." And this infuriates Taima because he knows corruption and he knows that the Pharaoh is indeed corrupt. As she continues, "That's why my father was killed for treason, but before he died, he used to tell me a story that he had heard from the Thoth. Our kind and theirs were once one and the same. However, according to legend, our kind's eldest ancestor almost drowned. I can't prove that Noob is the person, but I have a strong suspicion." As Taima grabs onto his mother, he goes on to tell her, "Mama, don't worry about any of that. I'm in Noob's favor now, so just get your rest." As she proceeds to cry, she goes on to tell him, "Being in his favor is not a good thing, child. My father was in his favor at first. The more you learn about Noob, the more danger you are in, and I worry sick about you, dear." And basically telling Taima that he is in extreme troubles and to not trust the Pharaoh. As he only then goes on to tell her, "I'll be okay, and you will too. That's a promise. Now get some rest." As he quickly ventures outside, we notice how he's walking, he's minding his own business until he overhears somebody crying for help. And as this individual out there in the distance is crying out for help, we notice how Taima quickly rushes on in as he's trying to find out what the heck is going on. until he spots in the distance a person very eerily similar to Russo running in his direction, but he seems to be running from something. And in fact, it ended up being Russo because he's running away as he's crying out, "Help! Help! Help!" As Taima spots something chasing him, he goes on to cry out, "Leave him alone!" As a horde of vicious dogs seem to be chasing Russo, once again Taima cries out, "Leave him alone!" As these dogs end up being the jackals that the Pharaoh spoke of. And Taima is getting very infuriated because Russo runs behind him, and as the jackals get closer, miraculously enough, behind the jackals, we notice a moon up in the sky. And as Taima looks up, he slowly begins to evolve, transforming into a massive Ozaru as the manga chapter special comes to a close. Now, I do have a lot of questions for this specific fan manga in the fact that, number one, as many other people are questioning, how come Russo, Taima, the Pharaoh, and many others aren't using the ability to fly? It seems more or less like a grounded original Dragon Ball story, which is what this personal fan manga reminds me of, as I'm very curious at the fact that nobody seems to fly, nobody seems to use energy attacks or anything of that nature. But what I find fascinating is the fact that this entire story brings me back to movies like The Mummy and many other movies of that nature, because we're stuck on this setting to where we have pyramids being used for sources of power, we have pharaohs lying and trying to condescendingly deceive their proteges to kill them, lots of betrayal. I really do enjoy the fact that this kid is not naive enough to actually fall for the Pharaoh's BS, as I'm very curious about the overall direction for this specific fan manga, as it is very evident that Taima will become a god of destruction at some point. But the question is he going to drink the water himself? Is he going to fight and possibly kill the Pharaoh? All of this and much more is going to be explained in the next chapter, guys. So again, post your thoughts and feedback in the comment section below. Thank you all so much for watching, guys. Once more, if you guys are new to the channel, don't forget to smash that subscribe button, and more importantly, turn on all notifications by clicking on the bell icon to never miss a single upload. If you guys are stoked, ready, and excited for more awesome fan mangas, then be sure to hit this video up with a big like down below. Slap that like button, guys. Also, check out the creator, in which I will leave his links located down below as well. For me, I'm a little iffy on this in terms of the direction, because we don't know if Taima's going to fight the Pharaoh. We don't know if we're going to have some other alternative story play out. It's a most interesting concept, but I can't wait to see what unfolds in the next chapter. So again, tune back in to find out. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll be seeing you all down in the comment section below. Have a great day, everybody. Peace!
This is the Galactic Emperor of the Universe, and of course I'm here to tell you to subscribe to UnrealEntGaming.
Also follow UnrealEntGaming on these social media platforms to stay connected at all times. And if you don't, then very soon you will all be dead! Oh, did someone say UnrealEntGaming? Oh my god.
The fuck's up, on? Put on some clothes!
Well, why don't you put on any clothes?
What? I don't need clothes. Jesus Christ, that's huge! What, Broly?
Freezer.
Uh-oh.
Prepare to die!